You take Laddie with you and return to the spire. As you approach the entrance of the spire, the staff that Laddie clutches close begins to emit a faint light. Seeing the mysterious light, you are convinced. Laddie, her expression uneasy. Laddie takes hold of your sleeve with a tentative touch. You stand before the altar once more, bathed in an air of mysticism. The light emitting from Laddie's staff intensifies, as if indicating its destination. In response to the enigmatic voice, Laddie's staff exudes a dazzling light. A spirit appears right before your eyes. Well, maybe it's a spirit? It's some kind of strange stuffed animal. The stuffed toy seems to be affecting a voice of considerable gravitas and choking itself in the process. This creature is called Lack. Though you cannot be certain it speaks the truth, it claims to be a spirit. You approach, hoping to ask about the maiden. But with blinding speed, Lack zooms behind Laddie, putting her between you as a shield. You're the one from before, Lack says, quaking. It would appear that you're mistaking the creature for a monster, and doggedly chasing after it has made it rather afraid of you. You hold out an offer of reconciliation, and Lack takes it and immediately starts munching away. Between bites, it says, "You've got some good taste there." You're not really sure if the make good worked out, but in any event, Lack looks willing to listen to you now. You ask about the maiden once more, and Lack begins to talk a lot. It seems to enjoy doing so. Just as the maiden's myth handed down amongst the denizens of the island suggests, it explains, Laddie was indeed born to be the maiden here. However, she was unable to take up her role. This has caused no small amount of distress over the island's inevitable destiny to sink beneath the raging waves. Lack concludes with a proposal. How's about you go and meet with the other maidens and fetch the maiden's relics? As you had hoped, Laddie appears to be the key to the island's salvation. You ask, should we kill the maidens and steal the relics? Laddie shakes her head rapidly, as if to insist that you definitely should not do that. As Lack explains, each maiden has an attendant, an escort, and protector. This would make it difficult to take the relics by brute force. This island is not the only one home to a spirit. There are islands throughout this archipelago, and upon each dwells one of the 4 maidens who govern their own spirit. The self-proclaimed spirit explains that if you bring the maiden's relics that each of these maidens possess back to this spire, Laddie will be able to become a maiden herself. Laddie shows the staff in her hand, wearing an expression that seems to say, "This is a maiden's relic." If Laddie becomes a maiden and performs the maiden's ritual at the altar, the island can be saved. The world-changing immensity of what you have just learned echoes in your mind. It takes you a little while to fully digest it. But it does just so happen you've been readying a seaworthy vessel for your own purposes. You accept Lack's proposal to help Laddie become a maiden. So, you want me to poof you back to the entrance? You decide to make for the spire's exit. And fight. Magnificent. Accompanied by your new allies, you make to enter the village. But Laddie seems to find something about this idea disagreeable and clings to a tree nearby, refusing to budge. "Oh, I got this one," says Lack, evidently with some kind of plan in mind. The fluffy creature begins to chant a sort of mysterious spell. Suddenly, Laddie's face is transformed into that of an odd old man's. Laddie touches her transformed visage and then gives a thumbs up, perhaps as if to say, "Good job." You are agog. But Laddie looks sideways at you as she walks into the village, her identity now safely hidden. This is your home. A desk pushed up near the wall is adorned with an unfurled map and a scattering of books. The navigation map is of your own design and depicts the various islands in this region of the sea. It contains information on the maidens of those nearby islands, culled meticulously from books and the tales of passing travelers. Before all of this, you had found yourself unable to merely sit and watch the village's decline, and so planned a voyage to seek aid from the maidens of the other islands. After popping into the back room, you emerge with a carefully polished ship's wheel and present it to your companions. It is the final piece of the ship you restored at the grotto. With it, you will finally be able to set sail on the voyage you have dreamed of for so long. You have made ready for the voyage, but before you set sail, you decide to stop in at the mayor's to say your farewells. Greeth's eyes fall over the unfamiliar face behind you. And who do we have here? You respond, "A traveler, weary from a long journey." Greeth looks upon her with sympathy. Changing the subject, you explain to the mayor that you'll be leaving the village for a little while on a voyage to save the island. You felt sure that the mayor, with his love of the village, would see you off with a smile. And yet the moment you explain that you found a maiden who can save the island, his attitude changes like the fickle sea winds, and he voices opposition to your journey. "This island is destined to meet its end," he says. You can practically sense him digging his feet in. You cannot fathom why he, the mayor of the village, would believe something like that. Though each of you hold the island in your hearts, you cannot reconcile the difference of opinion. Like lovers going their separate ways after an acrimonious spat, it looks as though you will be setting out on bad terms. You believe that your desire to save the island will prove to be the right perspective. Your ship, your trusted companion, once a mere wrecked husk that you labored to bring back to life with months of sweat and toil. You climb up to the stern, and with every bit of care you can muster, you attach the wheel. The final stroke upon the canvas. At last, your ship is finished. The vessel's design is patterned after a great whale. There are a number of mismatched parts, but that particular quirk only makes you love it all the more. As you look over your handiwork, you realize that your companion on this upcoming journey will need a name. What would a fitting name be, you ponder? Laddie tears a page from her book and then scribbles a name down on it. In her small handwriting is written, "The Bon Vent." According to Lack, the words are a kind of prayer in the language of the spirits for safe passage when bidding one farewell on a long journey. A farewell said before long journeys. The words could make a fitting appellation for your ship. You're unsure of just how much you ought to trust Lack, or his skill with words, but nonetheless, decide to go with Laddie's suggestion. Together, you load up the Bon Vent with the necessary provisions. Preparations for your departure are now finished. You throw your hands upon the ship's wheel and shout, "Weigh anchor!" with gusto. Your voyage has begun. Though your ship had long since forgotten the taste of seawater, it nonetheless cuts through the waves like a fillet knife through fresh fish. It is your first sea voyage. Laddie's eyes glitter as she looks out at the horizon, stretching ever onward over the endless blue expanse. She opens up your homemade navigation map, checking the locations of the islands where the other maidens live. On the island to the south of here lives a beauteous maiden garbed in azure robes, as though the sky itself is wrapped around her. After closing up the map, you grasp the wheel like a familiar old friend and tell the ship where you'd like to go. You now have free rein to sail across the sea as you see fit. New tales await you when you put into port on an island where a maiden dwells. A large chest floats in the water before you. no more than an arm's length away. You take hold of the chest and pull the board. When you do, the lid springs open and a glimmer catches your eye. You take a closer look at the glinting objects. Though corroded by seawater, they're undoubtedly coins. Whirlpools are a common occurrence in this area of the sea. It doesn't seem like your ship is capable of crossing them. You spot something blown into the sky from a whale's spout. It looks like it might fall this way, but it's hard to make out with the sun behind it. You hurriedly draw your sword and strike the falling object. Alas, it appears what you struck may have been some item or gear that could have helped you on your journey. It hits the sea with a plunk and sinks beneath the waves. I don't know what it is. Good work. Ahoy, matey. And fight. Hope you win. Ah, the... And fight. Magnificent. You did great. Nope, nope. A monster leaps out, enraged that you have disturbed its slumber. After vanquishing the beast, you peer inside the chest. You grin, realizing that your find may be able to aid you on your journey. You did great. And fight. Oh, yeah, fight him off. You open your arms wide to catch you gladly accept it as a gift from heaven. Fight him off. You did great. You heard it immediately dives back into the sea and swims away, leaving behind a scattering of coins. Don't hold back. You discover a shipwreck. You climb aboard and begin searching for anything useful. When you return to your vessel, the shipwreck sinks silently into the sea. Show 'em what you got. You cross the sea and arrive at the South Isle. On the South Isle, you will hear the tale of a maiden in blue. Very well then. Prepare to go ashore. Bright rays of sunlight beam down onto the warm South Isle. Something about the place reminds you of the refreshing cool of the ocean. After weighing anchor and docking your ship at the pier, you go ashore. Utterly exhausted from hours at the helm, you stretch your legs for a moment, then open up your map. Once you have your heading, you and the others make for the village of Coveton in the south. Okay, now let's go. From out of nowhere, a sweet fragrance wafts over you. You look up to see ripe fruit in the tree above. There's a reasonably sized stone at your feet. A precise pitch at the tree's bough could knock some fruit loose. You take the stone in hand and wind up. Your pitch fails to even reach its target. You leave the area, hoping to hide your embarrassment. Fight him off. Magnificent. This must be a stela of the Isle's guardian spirit. And... Okay, hold up. You have to return to your ship. It's so hot, you grumble, as you use your shirt to fan yourself. Wondering how Laddie is holding up, you turn and see her squeezing a blue ball of fluff tightly. She begins to rub her cheek against it. From the elated look in her eyes, you can only guess how cooling it must feel. But the sight sends shivers down your spine. Laddie, that's a monster, you shout, readying your weapon. Hope you win. The village floats in the center of a cove. The gentle lapping of waves fills the air. Coveton seems like a peaceful place, far removed from conflict. As you enter the village, you're greeted by an unusual sight. A paper doll flitters about like a bird above a man's hand. At your straightforward question, the man appears to be at a loss for words. Now, where could she be? He murmurs. Though the maiden isn't here now, you know for certain that one lives in the village. The man sees your curious gazes and explains that he animates it with a magic charm. He claims that all the villagers use such spells to enrich their lives. You thank the man, then resume your search for the maiden. The village gets so lively when the maiden is here, the man mutters, his brow furrowed with worry. The old woman stares intently into a crystal ball. Not ready to show me, are you? She mumbles at it. She tells you she first used magic when she divined who she would marry, nigh on 50 years ago. You can't help but admire her dedication to the craft. The entrance to the shrine is resplendent with seashells. The maiden must make a hobby of collecting them. The woman sighs. That maiden's gone gallivanting again today. Despite being tasked with protecting the village, it seems she has quite the infamous reputation. The man tells you the village may be renowned for its magic charms, but the tasty fish caught here aren't half bad either. Face contorted in concentration, the young boy deftly folds a piece of paper into the shape of a bird. You ask him about the maiden. I saw her at the Maiden shrine, he says, as he tosses the paper bird into the air. Wonder of wonders, the paper bird flaps its wings and flies about, showing you where the Maiden shrine is. At the heart of the shrine, you see a young woman and man discussing something in earnest. The woman's name is Fila. She is, without a doubt, the maiden shouldering the isle's fate. The man's name is Hyde. He is the maiden's wise attendant. Excuse me. I need to speak with the maiden, you say, interjecting yourself into their conversation. Fila whirls to you and asks, which do you think is cuter? Though you're baffled by the sudden and unrelated question, she doesn't miss a beat and shows you a seashell in each of her hands. Caught in the moment, you mumble an unexpected answer beneath your breath. You quickly realize your mistake and look around when... Oh my, Fila remarks bashfully. Hyde simply gives a huh in response. Laddie looks off into the distance, her lips pursed as if whistling, though no sound comes out. Lack, annoyed for some reason, seems on the verge of rebuking you. Apparently, the maiden and her attendant had wagered on which shell was cuter. You had heard about the Azure Maiden from the villagers, but now you see for yourself that she's quite the free-spirited woman. You explain to them why you've come, and ask if Fila will lend you her maiden's relic. Despite knowing the circumstances, Hyde tells you that things just aren't that simple. You take a deep breath and prepare to persuade them when... I'll let you borrow it if you help me find the pirate's treasure, Fila says. She explains that there are rumors of pirate treasure hidden within the crystal cave southeast of the village. Pirates, you murmur. You think about it for a moment, but with little other choice, you agree to help. You never change, sighs Hyde. But Fila pays him no mind as she prepares to embark on the adventure. A well-maintained fishing boat sits anchored in the water. You glance at the catch on board and deem it acceptable. All right, things have taken a very lively turn, haven't they? Oh, excuse me. You can't go into an island while you're still... Laddie eagerly eyes the fishing rod on the boat. Up for some fishing, you ask? Laddie gives a hesitant nod. Except, it turns out she's never fished before. You show her how to hold the rod, and she casts the line into the water. Almost instantly, the rod begins to bend. You'd better tell her when to pull up. The rod bends and fits and starts. You're sure she's got something on the line. Laddie rips the line out of the water at your insistence, exposing a bare hook. Damn, you pat her back reassuringly. Sometimes that's just how it goes. Excellent. You did great. And fight. Okay, hold up. You discover a shipwreck. You climb aboard and begin searching for anything useful. Lack trembles and whispers. This place feels haunted. We'll be fine. You flash Lack a reassuring smile and press on through the shipwreck. But then Laddie grabs your hand and you stop. She's clearly worried about the frightened Lack. Excellent. You approach the remains of a ship floating in the waves and carefully steer your own vessel so as not to collide with the wreckage. As you do, Laddie pulls something up out of the water. It's complete. Most of the ink is smeared by seawater, but one page is still legible. On that same page, you see a map detailing where the shipwreck can be found. Deciding that shipwreck treasure may be worth finding, you slip the voyage log into your bag. Ah, the great... From the south, a small vessel pulls up beside yours. The fisherman aboard is trembling and pale. You ask the fisherman if he's all right, and he stammers out 2 words. Ghost ship. He claims he was fishing west of the South Isle when an eerie vessel suddenly emerged from the fog. He then hightailed it out of there without looking back. Though you're skeptical, Laddie quietly writes down details of the man's story. Don't hold back. Nope. Don't hold back. Ahoy! Magnificent. Magnificent. I don't know what it is. Good work. You discover a shipwreck. You climb aboard and begin searching for anything useful. Now that I think about it, you say, pulling the voyage log out of your bag and looking at the map. It's just as you expected. This is the shipwreck you read about in the voyage log. As you peer further in, you see a door that likely leads to the treasure hold. You recall the log mentioning the treasure hold becoming a den of monsters and turn to your comrades, urging them to be prepared for what may lie ahead. Receiving a steady nod from your allies, you quietly unsheath your sword and open the door. Hope you win. Fortune favors the bold. Magnificent. The treasure hold is a mess, but you spot a single unscathed chest among the wreckage. You decide to take its contents as a reward for your collective bravery. When you return to your vessel, the shipwreck sinks silently into the sea. hold back.